I take a stance here and just wanted to start out. There's what we call the ABCs of acoustics. There's absorbers, barriers, and composites. And you want to use sound absorption when you can't control the noise at a source. And as you know, it's very important or very efficient if you can control the noise at the source of the noise. That's usually the best way to handle things the quickest with the most noise control. But sometimes you can't. Sometimes the space is very too congested to put an enclosure around a piece of equipment or something like that. So what you want to do is you want to look at just sound absorption. And in that case, if you're looking at a 10 dBA type noise reduction, or maybe a 6 or a 5 dBA, 8 dBA, somewhere in that range, sound absorption alone can often obtain those noise reduction levels. And remember though, 10 dBA, some of you might say, doesn't sound like it's going to be a huge noise reduction, but since it's logarithmic, the human perception of sound, anytime you have a 10 dBA sound reduction or noise reduction, to you, the average person with our average hearing, shall we say, it's going to be perceived as sounding half as loud. So when we get into these sound absorption applications, we want to start looking at the walls and ceilings to see what their makeup is and what surface is offered to us as a substrate to mount different types of sound absorption. And sound absorption is strictly this. Sound is energy. You have a sound source here that's giving off sound power. And then you have, once it moves away from this sound source and enters into the space, it becomes sound pressure. And that is energy, right? So we look at the blue surface here. It's a very hard reflective surface. And what we've done is we've mounted a sound absorption material to that surface. So some of that sound energy will propagate. It'll propagate through that sound absorbing material. So some of that sound energy will get absorbed, and hence the sound is reduced, the sound energy. And then some of the sound will be reflected back and pass through that absorber again. So it softens the walls so the receiver within the room hears a sound or noise reduction. And so that's what we're going to be talking about. Some of the products we currently have, because people say, well, Kinetics has so many products now, why do they need any new products? And there's reasons for new products. There's always applications for something new, and maybe the economies of scale are better. Maybe the efficiency of the product is better. Maybe you get better lead points for a certain product. So that's what we're going to talk about, let alone the acoustic performance. But one of our products that many of you are very familiar with and very comfortable with over the years is our Model S4 panel. It's a fiberglass core. It's wrapped in a scrim face, an aluminized reinforced scrim face, and you can get it in a white or a foil facing. It comes in 1, 2, or 4 inch thickness, and it's Class A fire rated. We can mount these to walls and ceilings to soften and give us that sound absorption. And this is some examples here. A generator room, you can see all the silver walls is in a generator room, and then on the white in the upper left, they put it in the above a shipping and receiving area and snaked it in and suspended it from the girders there to be able to absorb the forklift traffic noise. Another product we have that you're very familiar with is our quilted fiberglass. It is just a reinforced, it's a fiberglass that we quilt in-house. It has a nice reinforced fiberglass cloth facing, usually is gray, white, tan, or black. But you can mount that to the walls and ceiling and put it within the space to absorb sound. It comes in a nominal 1, 2, or 4 inch thickness. Of course, the thicker the material, the better the sound absorption. And also it is Class A fire rated as well. And here's an example here where there's a really congested space and you couldn't enclose anything. So what we did was add absorption to this space by using horizontal tiers of these panels. Another one is our hanging KB803s. That's another absorptive product. You got a fiberglass core. You have different facing options. Right here it shows a vinyl, our standard facing, but also there's a Tyvek facing if you need FDA approved encasement. And we have that. Factory installed grommets. It's also Class A fire rated. And the most common sizes is a 2 foot tall by 4 foot long baffle or a 4-foot tall by 8-foot long baffle. The nice thing with this is a candy store, a candy factory operation. And the nice thing with these hanging baffles is they're 4-foot tall, 8-foot long. In this case, for scale, it's a 20-foot high bay. And the nice thing here is that they don't interfere with the lighting or the sprinkler systems. And basically, as it's hung there, you're adding absorption to that space. It doesn't always matter where you put the absorption. All that matters is that you put it in the space. And these were actually with the Tyvek FDA approved facing, since it was a candy operation. We also have rigid absorption panels, something you might use out in an outdoor equipment yard or in a factory hammer mill room or a pump room. It's rigid, perforated, galvanized, or aluminum panels. They got a fiberglass core. They're wrapped in a poly bag. They're Class A fire rated, standard 2 or 4 inch thick. That can be used indoors, outdoors, and also mounted flush or standoff. You can have a standoff of a wall of 1 or 2 inch air gap between that and the substrate. Here's an example here.